We are so excited to bring you the first in-person It's Just Sport podcast. We will start off with some swimming. Joanne, you are just going straight from poolside. How was today?
Very hot, I have to say. I definitely sweated through a bunch of t-shirts, which I didn't anticipate. But no, overall, it was a really cool experience. It's my first time working with RT, doing any sort of poolside, pitchside reporting, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, we had a couple of cracking races. You know, I suppose at the start we had Daniel Whiffen, and I suppose the big story of the day was Mona. Mona just absolutely smashing it, and she was in such a good form after as well. I actually love how she's come back with a bit of a Tennessee twang. It just made me laugh when I was interviewing her. I was like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess to bring you the news of the day, first things first, Mona McSharry has qualified for the Tokyo Olympics, so that is very exciting. She swam a time of 106.97 in the heat this morning. Her previous PB was 107.1, so this dipped under the qualifying time and booked her ticket to Tokyo. She then swam again in the semi-final this afternoon, cracking the Irish record that she set in the morning, and she swam a time of 106.29. So a brilliant swim for Mona. Chasing her tail was Niamh Coyne. She's half a second to find tomorrow in the final to see if she's going to book that ticket. What was it like with Mona today when she had her reaction? She seemed delighted.
She was over the moon, and it was really funny because this evening she said she was trying something new. Now, she didn't specify like what. I think it was something to do with her breathing and kind of the way she's bobbing more than anything else. But the first race, I was kind of there, literally I was right next to her, and you could see like when she was driving it home, like the power in her legs, and she was kind of joking after. She was like, yeah, my legs are really tired. And I was like, I just asked about power, but okay. But no, look, I mean, you know, she's very excited. She was over the moon.
Yeah.
She said herself she didn't really anticipate. I kind of thought maybe, not that she'd kind of relax for this evening and then go hard again tomorrow, but I thought maybe she'd take a little bit of a breather, I suppose, more than anything. But no, she just plowed through. But she was actually talking about, we mentioned obviously going over to America and stuff like that, and she basically said that it actually provided a distraction for her. Like, she was out of the country, out of the hype, didn't have to hear about Mona McSharry, junior champion, like class swimmer, legend, you know, all this kind of stuff. She was able to just focus on herself for the first time, and I think it really showed today.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like, I know that they were talking, or she was talking about the fact that it's yards over there, so to convert from yards to meters and that type of thing, you'd have to do a lot of maths to keep up to date with exactly where your time is.
I was doing the maths yesterday. Like, 1 meter is 1.096 yards.
Yeah.
So like, it's like close, but it's like also she was waiting for like 0.03 of a second.
Yeah.
Like, that's a far bit as well. Like, you know, when you're trying to like convert a little bit, you know, like, I don't know the actual conversion, but I think, you know, she needed a lot of minutes there.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good anyway for her, and we're delighted to see the qualification time. The action started off this morning with Emilia Kane. She won the 800 metres in a time of 9 minutes, 0.13 of a second. She took 9 seconds off her personal best. The Irish senior record is held by Grania Murphy at 8:25.04. And Emilia was saying this morning that she's aiming for more personal bests. She's just 18 years old, so there's lots more to come from this swimmer. In the 100 metre backstroke, we saw Danielle Hill. She swam 103.07, followed up by Maria Godden and Rebecca Reid. She swam the heat this morning. It looked kind of easy, just like she was getting into the swing of it, and then she swam the semi-final in the afternoon. She definitely went for it. She swam 60.48 seconds, which is a new Irish record, so something very exciting for Danielle, but she did seem a little bit disappointed, as she's very close to making that Tokyo qualification time, which is 1 minute or 60 seconds 0.25. Cora Rooney was right behind her in the semi-final this afternoon, swimming 60.67. The Irish record was previously 60.9, so Cora actually would have been inside that Irish record had Danielle not broken it. We also had the World Para Series, which happened at the weekend, where Roisin Ní Riain was in action, and she has now booked her ticket to Tokyo as well. So that's really exciting. She was competing at the World Para Series. She's just 15 years old from Limerick, and she has qualified in the 100 backstroke in a time of 1:10.43. She also picked up gold in the 100 she picked up gold in the 100 backstroke and 100 meter freestyle for the youth event, and she also picked up the bronze in the backstroke overall. So to catch more of the action and to hear loads from Joanne as she's interviewing everybody poolside, be sure to tune into RTE Player over the next few days. Also on RTE Player, we will see the gymnastics. The European Championships in Artistic Gymnastics runs from the 21st to the... Also on the RTE Player is the European Championships in Artistic Gymnastics. It's going to run from tomorrow, the 21st of April, to the 25th of April. It is in Basel. It's the final qualifier for the Tokyo Olympics, and we will see Emma Slevin and Meg Ryan in competition. The qualifying rounds will be on the RTE player, and the finals will be on RTE2 and also on the RTE player.
Over the weekend, Ireland played France. The scoreline was a bit disappointing. It was 15-56. The Irish try scorers were Cliona Maloney and Emma Hooban. Emer Considine had an absolutely cracking game. She was unreal. Obviously, we all know, look, you're not getting into that argument again. France are obviously a different level above. It's semi-pro versus amateur. The gap obviously was there, but I think for the final it'll be interesting to see England and France and how that'll measure up. I think we can all kind of move on now into the final and see how that shapes up. Italy-Scotland was actually a very exciting game, which kind of proves if you have teams at the same level competing against each other, it's crazy. The scoreline there was 41-20. Italy were in control for a good chunk of the game. The second half they were particularly strong. So really Ireland-Italy should be an exciting game, but how are you doing your fantasy team?
I've fallen down a few places, but it's going okay. It was really hard to pick the team this week, but it's definitely something I think that is encouraging people to tune in. But definitely back that, like, Emer Considine had a absolutely brilliant game. She just seems to be everywhere. But look, it wasn't the score that we'd hoped for, and as you said, I think it shows the slight difference between amateur and semi-pro, and it'll be interesting, as you said, to see the semi-pro versus full-time professional, and if there will be that gap as well. In cycling news, we tuned in to the exciting Belgian Cycling International track meet at the weekend. We had several riders representing Ireland, including Emilia Kane, Orla Walsh, Shannon McCurley, Mia Griffin, Lydia Gurley and Alice Sharp. In the Omnium, Emilia Kane finished 7th, Shannon McCurley finished 15th. The two riders were busy competing in several events, as were some of the other competitors. They just seemed to be doing so many events, racing all the time over the 3 days. Orla Walsh finished 5th in the Keirin on Saturday. This was her second ever Keirin internationally, and then she competed in the sprint on the Sunday, which she has recently switched to the sprint events to focus on after her time in the team pursuit. She finished 10th in the sprint and has put that down as great experience and lots of learning. So we look forward to seeing some more cycling over the coming months.
Yeah, AFLW news is incredibly exciting because Orla O'Dwyer and her Brisbane Lions team, she starred as they beat Eilish Considine Adelaide Crows in the AFLW Grand Final. O'Dwyer is obviously the second Irish person to win an AFLW medal after Eilish herself. And yeah, it was all very exciting. I don't know if you saw the interview with her mom at the start of the thing. No, it was on at 4:45, so I'll forgive you for not watching. But yeah, there was an interview with her mom, and her mom basically came out and was like, yeah, she was never good at sport. This is her third elite sport, and this is her third big
never
medal.
Good at sport.
Yeah, and her mom was like, the closest we thought she'd get to sport was a PE teacher, and I was like, that is the funniest thing. I was like laughing at 5 o'clock in the morning. I looked like a weirdo. But yeah, it was very good to see Orla O'Dwyer obviously win. And yeah, some of the content was great. 23,000 fans were there. I was a bit jealous, and to see them all kind of going out and having fun afterwards on Instagram, I kind of had to mute her. I was sad.
Yeah. No, it looks like they're having a great time over there, and I've been seeing Sarah Rowe's Instagram. She seems to be very busy after all the competitions. Tell us the GAA news. There was a big retirement there.
Yeah, big retirement yesterday. It kind of came under the radar really, but Dublin footballer Noelle Healy announced her retirement from intercounty football. She's had an unbelievable career, 5 All-Ireland titles, 10 Leinster titles, 1 National League, 4 All-Stars, Player of the Year in 2017. She's represented Dublin in all age groups for the last 17 years, which is obviously incredible. She's, one of the only handful of players to hold All-Irelands at under 14, under 16, minor and senior level. She works as an anesthesiologist in St. Vincent's, which I don't know was it a factor in her decision, but maybe with COVID and everything going on, maybe the body was a bit tired and things like that. But she's been going for a long time, so I think people would forgive her. But we need to also mention she's also won an All-Ireland title with Mourne Abbey. So she's the first dub to have an All-Ireland title with a Cork club. So it's pretty cool for her. And she still wore the blue gum shield every single time. I was like, right, Noelle.
You'll have to forgive her for it. In sailing news, the European qualification regatta is underway in Vilamora in Portugal, where Annalise Murphy, Aoife Hopkins and Eve McMahon are in action in the radial class. Ireland has qualified already, and the silver medalist Annalise Murphy will be representing Ireland at the Tokyo Olympics. Yesterday, Annalise Murphy was best of the trio for the day. She had a 29th and an 8th place and to finish 34th overall, so we'll keep an eye on that action over the next couple of days.
Very exciting news in golf. Leona Maguire had the honour of representing her country in Hawaii. I was incredibly jealous of her office for the day. She secured her best finish, though, on the LPGA Tour to date. She finished tied for second over in Hawaii. It's the joint highest finish by an Irish woman in the LPGA Tour. She finished an impressive 21 under par, which was pretty decent. She's actually yet to miss a cut since the AIG Women's Open back in August 2020. It's been a long time for her. So she's moved into the top 100 of the world rankings for the first time when they obviously get updated. And she's obviously hopefully got a place on the Solheim Cup. Should be very exciting to see her, the Ryder Cup equivalent, obviously, the females version, but it's just as exciting and just as cool. So we do wish her all the best at everything she's doing.
Absolutely. Did you see the big news today with Lidl? So during in the last 2 days, Lidl has announced that they are the first major retailer in the world to offer free period products nationwide to women and girls across the country affected by period poverty. So this is obviously something we've discussed a lot, and we're very passionate about. Talking about periods, period poverty, that type of thing. So it's great to see this. In partnership with Homeless Period Ireland and the Simon community, they have developed a dedicated coupon for a free box of pads or tampons per customer each month that they can use through the Lidl Plus app. As well as this, there will be quarterly donations to the Simon community to ensure that those who don't have a smartphone also have access to the product. So this is a huge step forward. Obviously, in the last 6 to 9 months, we've seen that Scotland have said that period products are going to be free. Ireland have talked about it. Are they going to follow suit? That's something to see. But this is definitely a big move from Lidl as they push this forward and make sure that women are looked after for something that we can't control.
It's very exciting, and I know Claire Hunt, the woman who's involved in Homeless Period Ireland, she's absolutely over the moon and buzz. So congrats to Claire. We had her on the Shine Festival that you were also on, and she spoke very eloquently about what teams can do to help retain underage girls when it comes to their period and opening the conversation and stuff like that. So kudos to Claire and kudos to the team for getting involved in that and Little as well. In football news, Niamh, you've probably heard that we are all
a lot going on.
We are all football burned over the weekend. It crashed and it burned. There's a new European Super League on the horizon. Nobody asked for it, but we still got it. Florentino Perez and Andrea Galli decided to put it together with Juventus. In the statement, I suppose one thing that piqued my interest, anyways, and it's probably the same for you, they basically listed a load of things about the men's game, how COVID has affected it, and then they said, oh, by the way, if it's practicable, we can have a women's tournament too.
It just seemed like a second thought, we'll add it in if it seems to be working.
It was like Florentino Perez was there with his PR company and he was like, I think the Europeans will go mad if we don't include a women's team, so let's throw them in. I think it's ironic that the teams that are in this proposed European Super League, they're not, well, some of them, but not all of them, are teams with top women's teams. So basically you could have Barcelona, who are obviously very professional, are beating everyone all around them. I think they've scored 150 goals in this season, up against Liverpool, who are semi-pro, playing in Division 2 in England, and you could accidentally end up with 11-0 hammering, and no one gets relegated, no one gets promoted. So it's obviously
nobody wants to see that either, because you want to make sure that the teams competing against each other have the capacity to compete against each other, because you're going to completely demoralise the team that are getting hammered, but you're also going to push people away from wanting to watch the sport because they're going to be like, oh well, some of the teams are great and some of them just aren't up to standard. And but I know the idea was, I know there's a big amount of cash being dangled there for the club. So would you see this being invested in the women's side? It's not something that we know or not know, but
given the people who are involved, I'm going to say a strong no. Just from their past record, it took Manchester United a long time. I know the Glazers are obviously part of it. Ed Woodward used to work with JP Morgan, the financial institution over in America. They're planning on putting in $5 billion. Ed Woodward obviously didn't know there was a women's team until 2018 in Manchester United, and then he decided to incorporate the whole thing. Obviously, they've had some big signings, Kristen Press, Tobin Heath, all these girls. I think they're fourth in the Women's National League. So they were on the way up, but they've kind of slipped a little bit. Real Madrid didn't have a women's team. They actually bought a team in Madrid because they didn't want to set up another one. So they said, they turned to Madrid CF is what they were called, and they were like, do you want to be Real Madrid? And one of the goalkeepers just happened to be a huge Real Madrid fan, so she was like, I'll do it. I was going to say another interesting thing about Spanish football was, I don't know if you saw it as well, Misa Rodriguez, she's a Real Madrid goalkeeper. After Marcos Alonso scored a goal against Liverpool in Champions League, she put up a picture of the two of them celebrating. So, picture of her at a game, picture of him at a game. And she captioned it, equal passion. It was like Mima Pasión in Spanish. And she got hate for it. All the Real Madrid fans attacked her, and she deleted it. And the following day, someone had obviously tipped off Asensio. He retweeted, he put up his own tweet of the same picture, hashtag Mima Pasión. And for the whole week last week,
support for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, the whole weekend last week, all Real Madrid, Barcelona, all the top teams in Spain were wearing Nima Passion in honor of Misa Rodriguez. So it was nice to see a bit of an ode to the women's game. But as I said, given who's involved at the moment with the Women's Super League, it's kind of hard to tell, or the European Super League even, it's hard to tell whether the women will see a chunk of that investment. But look, if they do, it would obviously make a big impact to the women's game, don't get me wrong.
Well, looking at it from the last couple of hours, obviously it's something that was kind of released very recently, and then it looks like it might be gone in a flash. As quickly as it came in, it could be gone again.
They made an announcement at like 3 o'clock on Sunday. They were making an announcement, and then the announcement came out at midnight on Sunday, and everyone was like, what? No. And even the graphic design, I mean, they, like, Florentino Perez said he had 2 years planning it. The graphic design didn't look like it was a 2-year planning. The graphic design looked like someone said it yesterday.
Did it last week?
Yeah, and was like, John, I need a logo stat. But no, look, it obviously is something to watch. Whether football will crash or burn, whether it'll drag the women's team down with them. But I think I said it to someone else recently. If the men's game wants to crash and burn, by all means, everyone flock to the women's game, because it is a better game. Like, I'm sorry to say, it is.
Yeah. No, it'd be interesting to see what happens anyways. I think I'm judging by the media backlash and what the fans are saying and everything. That's not what the people of football want. It would be interesting to see where the women's game ends up in it. But I guess there was other news, like before Super League broke, there seemed to be trouble brewing in Arsenal. So it was reported that several players raised concerns about access to facilities and staffing levels, with belief it played part in the impending departure of manager Joe Montemurro, I'm going to say. Several players approached senior club figures in the past year to express concerns about the direction of the club, with particular concerns over the quantity and quality of the staff, and this was not limited to, but also included coaches, medical team, sports science, that type of thing. So
you'd notice it during games. Like, Arsenal couldn't put out a panel at one stage. They had so many injuries. And I think the questions were starting to arise. Why are these muscle injuries happening? Is it fatigue? Is it COVID? Obviously, they had a high number of games, to play as well.
There's something going wrong there if you have a panel and you can't feel the team at that level. Like, we keep an eye on Arsenal. Katie McCabe is over there. So, it's something that we'd be looking out for. But if you can't feel the team and they're supposed to have that kind of resource reputation, it was weird.
Good. And they invested in really good Australian footballers as well, and they're just not playing them. I mean, I think Steph Gatley's gone now. But yeah, no, it's a bit weird to see. Obviously, we'll have to see what's going to brew kind of after that. I know Joe Montemurro said in his press conference afterwards, he said, as catastrophic as it is for me as manager, it's very good to see that we're pushing the women's game and that these conversations are popping up, because at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want your elite teams, you want people talking about like the facilities, people raising these questions, asking the heads who are in charge. But yeah, Arsenal are one of the teams in the European Super League, so it'll be interesting to see how poor old Stan and co look at the women's team, going, oh, what? We have those? But yeah, no, look, it's obviously interesting to see. Obviously, Arsenal were trailblazers, like 10 odd years ago, they won the sextuple, they went unbeaten for so long, they were called the Unbeatables rather than the Invincibles. They beat the actual Invincibles Arsenal's record, the men's team. So they have a good track record in women's football. It's just, it seems to not have come as far as it should have.
Yeah. But yeah, look, I think we'll see what happens with that. In relation to all the news, that's what we have for you today. Definitely keep an eye on the swimming, where you will see Joanne and everybody on poolside. Hopefully we will see some more tickets booked to Tokyo, and also tune into the gymnastics, where we are wishing the team the best of luck. There are some potential slots there as well, so definitely tune into that action, and if we missed anything, let us know and we'll make sure to include it next week. But until next week, when I suppose we'll be back on Zoom.
We're back on Zoom. I don't live in Dublin. Neve, it was great to see you in person.
I know. Great to finally, get to do one of these podcasts in person, and we will definitely make sure that there's more of these in store for you.
Cheerio.